الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. So yesterday we went through a general overview regarding uh, language in general, and we said the language of Arabic, or any language for that matter, will divide into many different branches. And so within the al-ulum al-arabiyyah, within the Arabic language, we have many different sciences and disciplines that branch off from this language. Now, the discipline that we're going to be studying and we're focusing mainly on is Nahwu. And Nahwu definitely is one of the most important sciences. Okay, without Nahwu, it's not possible for a person to create a sentence, as will become evident, inshallah, in today's class and as we study the science. The only way a person can truly create a sentence that makes sense is by attaining the knowledge of Nahwu, syntax. And like we said, there are some muqaddimat, like some discussions that are meant to be held before you actually start or delve into the science itself. You'll find some of these muqaddimat as well. They're mentioned in Al-Tuhfah Al-Saniyyah. And on top of that, I will add a little bit, here and there from different places, so that we can get a more wholesome perspective. So who wants to read today?
I can read, inshallah.
تفضل يا حسن.
تعريف النحو لغة واصطلاحا.
لغة واصطلاحا.
لغة واصطلاحا.
نعم. This hamza is hamzatul wasl, so you don't pronounce it if you connect. So واصطلاحا. نعم. So the definition of nahwu linguistically and istilahan. Istilahan means when this term is used in the context of a very specific discipline and science, what would it mean in light of that science, as opposed to just linguistically. Okay, so all of these terms, like for example, salah, saum, hajj, all of these terms that have been adopted, for example, in fiqh, in Islam, we have linguistic definitions, and then we have definitions that are more precise with the understanding of these terms pertaining to, for example, al-fiqh al-shar'i. Okay. نعم تفضل, go on.
كلمة نحو تطلق في اللغة العربية على عدة معاني، منها الجهة، تقول ذهبت نحو فلان أي جهته، ومنها الشبه والمثل، تقول محمد نحو علي أي شبهه ومثله.
نعم. طيب. So he says that Nahwu has in language, in Arabic, many linguistic meanings. And there are words like that. There are some words, for example, that might have a single meaning, literal meaning, and there are other words that have multiple meanings. Okay, this is very common and it's completely fine and it's normal. So Nahwu in Arabic actually has a number of meanings. From them is al-jiha, which means direction. So for example, you say dhahabtu nahwa fulan, I went towards the direction of so and so. Okay, and from them is al-mithl, which means to create likeliness between two things. Okay, Muhammadun nahwu aliyin, yani Muhammad is like Ali. Okay, creating a resemblance between two things. And there are some, and all of you should memorize this. I'll be assigning here and there, inshallah, especially when we have abiyat jami'ah. Sometimes you have maybe 3-4 lines, verses of poetry that are very, very comprehensive in their what they entail in terms of their meaning. So it's very beneficial if you memorize them. So we have 6 meanings for nahwu that are mentioned in these 4 lines with examples. Okay. He says للنحو 6 معان قصدنا جهة مثل وبعض قسم ثم مقدار. قصدنا, قصد يقصد قصدا, which means to make an intention towards something. Direct your focus towards something. Jihatun, as we mentioned above, jihatun, direction itself. Okay. Qasada means to focus towards something. And as for jiha, it just means direction. Okay. Mithlun, again, is in the meaning of two things that are alike or likened. Ba'dun means some. Qismun is a part, a category. And miqdar is amount. Okay. And then he gives examples. كنحو قولك يمم نحو كاظمة. كنحو قولك يعني كمثل قولك. Okay. Like you saying. يمم نحو كاظمة. يمم ييمم. يمم means to make an intention towards or to direct yourself towards something else. So he says, كنحو قولك يمم نحو كاظمة. Direct yourselves towards, in the jiha, in the direction of كاظمة. كاظمة is referring to area near the city of Al-Madinah Al-Munawwara. And a lot of the poets, they'll mention, for example, كاظمة when they're speaking about Al-Madinah Al-Munawwara. Okay. To suggest Medina Munawwara, because these are like, I believe they're mountains near Medina, or the area near Medina, the land near Medina is known as Kaldima. So he says, like you saying, كنحو قولك, كمثل قولك. نعم. Like you saying, يمم نحو كاظمة, direct your attention in the jiha of Kaldima. وانحو الضريح الذي تعلوه أنوار. وانحو أي أقصد. And why do you go towards Kaldima? Unhu, intend towards, okay, الضريح. ضريح is referring to al-qabr. Okay, the grave of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam. وانحو الضريح الذي تعلوه أنوار, and go, يعني أقصد, intend towards the grave upon which there is anwar. Upon which there are anwar. ومرغ الخد. Of course, this is not literal. This is figurative speech, okay, in the form of poetry. So we don't have to take it literally, but the idea is that when you go and visit the grave of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, send salutations upon him. And again, in poetry, sometimes understandings are exaggerated, and that's fine. It's not that big of a problem. He says, وَمَرِّغِ الْخَدَّ نَحْوَ الْأَلْفِ مُقْتَحِلًا. مَرَّغَ يُمَرِّغُ. تمريغ means to rub your cheek, right? مَرِّغِ الْخَدَّ نَحْوَ الْأَلْفِ. مقدار الألف. Al-khad is cheek. So rub or yes, rub your cheek مقدار الألف, to the amount of 1,000 times. مكتحلا. مكتحلا over here would be اسم الفاعل. Okay. اكتحل is to apply كحل, which is surma. So مرغ الخد نحو, يعني مقدار الألف مكتحلا, while applying surma بنحو ترب, ببعض ترب, with some of the sand. شذاه ثم معطار. Again, this is figurative, ahbab. Don't take this literally. شذاه ثم معطار. Shada in Arabic refers to fragrance, aroma. Okay. And mi'tar should be mi'tar. نعم. شذاه ثم معطار. The mi'tar is also a place of where you will receive fragrance from. So نعم. عساك تكتب في نحو الذين نجوا. Maybe you will be written amongst the ones. في قسم الذين نجوا, in the category of the ones who were saved. يوم الميعاد, on the day of mi'ad, and day of judgment. ولم تمسسهم النار, and the fire did not touch them. Okay. So memorize this, guys. Okay. The whole purpose of this is to do inḍibāt of ma'ani lughawiyya of nahu. So you mentioned 6 over here. Okay, along with giving examples of how those 6 would be applied linguistically. So how many meanings do we have? Qasd, which is to make an intention or focus towards something. Jiha is direction. Mithlun is the liking between two things. Ba'dun means some. Qismun is a category. And miqdar is referring to amount. Okay, guys. There are other ma'ani lughawiyya as well. And there are other ash'ar as well that have gathered some ma'ani. maybe in the later books we'll add, inshallah, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, more ma'ani that we can consider regarding نحو from a linguistic perspective. طيب. وفي
Sorry,
الاصطلاح نعم اقرأ. نعم.
I just missed two of the meanings. What was shadah and mi'ta?
So shada, I have it over here. Shada is قوة الرائحة. Okay. For fragrance to be very strong. Okay. Loosely, you just translate it as fragrance itself. Right. And mi'tar as well. معطار المعطار من الرجال والنساء من يتعهد نفسه بالطيب ويكثر منه. What's intended over here is that the fragrance is, there's a lot of fragrance over there. That area is beautified, and it's filled with beautiful aroma, a beautiful aroma and whatnot. Nah.
Okay, and
When you're saying
dirt, or
Come again?
turbin is like dirt.
Turb is sand, the soil. Yes. Nah.
when you're saying to memorize it, are you talking about just the beginning part, just the maani, or you mean the whole thing?
No, you want the whole thing so you can remember how to apply it as well. Right? If you don't want to just memorize the ma'ani, you also want to memorize the examples, so you know how those examples are applied. So these 4 lines, yani. Okay. للنحو 6 معان قصدنا جهة مثل بعض قسم ثم مقدار كنحو قولك يمم نحو كاظمة وانحو الضريح الذي تعلوه أنواره ومرغ الخد نحو الألف مكتحلا بنحو ترب شداه ثم معطار عساك تكتب في نحو الذين نجوا يوم الميعاد ولم تمسسهم النار. Now, if you memorize it, it will help you in retaining the usage or how these are used. نعم.
I might have some trouble because it doesn't have all the harakat. So like I might mess up. I don't know where to put a dhamma, where to put a fatha.
نعم, we can add these, inshallah.
Okay,
You're
sure.
right. نعم. نعم. So يمم نحو كاظمة.
Hassan, if you can add the translation onto the PDF itself, I would appreciate it. And
Yeah,
the notes in general.
no, I am. I just I started doing it on the doc, and I just created a copy, and I'm doing it there because it just moves it while the screen's
Yeah.
being shared.
خلاص. Perfect. And then just convert it over afterwards.
So Sheikh,
Yeah,
after studying this book, will we be able to read something like this in a piece of
Yeah,
poetry?
that's the purpose, right? That's the whole purpose. And I'm going to explain this right now. The whole purpose of Nahu is this exactly, to know the tashkil. Okay. To know how to read without, not only stuttering, but, and unfortunately, guys, like this is, subhanallah, it's not something praiseworthy to say this, something that we should be worried about. A lot of people are not able to read a simple paragraph of Arabic. I'm talking about scholars. I'm talking about graduates. I'm talking about people that have already studied. I'm not talking about the layman. We're talking about individuals that have gone through a process and they've graduated, but yet for some reason, because there was no practice, and maybe they didn't give that much importance towards learning how to read, and they don't know how to read. So we don't want to be from them. Okay, we don't want to be from them. Basic, what's it called? Qawaid of Nahu and whatnot. We want to make sure that we're able to read a sentence. If you're put on the spot, for example, I remember when I first came to Medina. Now, I studied Arabic before I came over here, but we were attending the dars of a sheikh, and the reader didn't show up one day. He was a dars in Sirah. So we, subhanallah, there was a student over there that's here in Medina. Now he's no longer in Medina. He graduated. But he's quite famous as a speaker and whatnot. So the sheikh just told him to read. And he started reading and he was making mistakes. So the sheikh in the middle, he took the book and he's like, I'll read myself. The next time, okay, again, the actual reader didn't show up. So I asked the sheikh, my first time, I didn't really know the sheikh, but I was sitting there. I didn't want to go through that embarrassing moment again where someone picks the book and doesn't know how to read. So I asked the sheikh, I said, if you allow me to read. So then I started reading. And then after that, I just became one of the readers for the sheikh. But yeah, it's really important, guys. It's really important to focus on your reading. And the only way you will make your reading better is if you practice. Yes, in the beginning, you're going to make mistakes. There's no doubt that you're going to make mistakes. Okay. But the more you work on it slowly, and you're making mistakes in the beginning, the more you work on it, eventually you're going to get better and you'll be able to read without making mistakes. Comes with time. It requires practice. Okay.
يا
طيب.
شيخنا أنا قربت أكون منهم، لكن إن شاء الله نزيل هذا الجهل.
ايش؟
أنا قربت أكون منهم، من هذه الذين بتكلم عنهم.
لا
لكن
إن
إن
شاء
شاء الله نزيل الجهل هذا.
عندك وقت. ما عليك إن شاء الله بإذن الله. طيب نعم، اقرأ تفضل يا حسن. From here وفي الاصطلاح. You're muted.
Sorry, my bad. وفي الاصطلاح تطلق كلمة النحو. تطلق كلمة نحو في اصطلاح العلماء على
نعم
العلماء.
تطلق. نعم. So تطلق meaning the word نحو. تطلق is used to refer to in the istilah, in the terminology of the scholars of syntax. Okay. And ulama over here, who are we referring to, guys? أي علماء النحو, not مطلق العلماء. Okay, the scholars, we're talking about syntax, we're talking about grammar, right? Grammarians, in their terminology, in their understanding, this علم النحو, what is it referring to? نعم, go on.
العلم بالقواعد التي يعرف بها أحكام أواخر الكلمات. أحكام أواخر الكلمات العربية في حال تركيبها من الإعراب والبناء وما يتبع ذلك.
نعم. So what is نحو اصطلاحا? What is this science? So this science is defined with this definition. Okay, this is very important. Remember, we said yesterday, whenever you study anything, you have to first have an overall picture and understanding of how that science works. Okay. So when it comes to Nahu, if someone asks you, for example, what is the benefit you're going to get from the science of Nahu? Or what is the distinction between the science of Nahu and the science of Sarf? Okay. If you're not able to distinguish between the two, okay, then you don't even know what you're looking for in this book. You don't know what you're searching for. And if you don't know what you're looking for, okay, how are you going to find it? Okay, so for that reason, we need to first start off, before you even start the science, explaining what is it that we look for in the science. So he starts off, he says, Al-ilm, Nahu is a science, it's a discipline. It's a discipline regarding al-qawa'id. Qawa'id is the plural of qa'idah, which is the meaning of rules and guidelines. So it's a science pertaining to rules and guidelines. التي يعرف بها, through which يعرف, are recognized أحكام أواخر الكلمات العربية. And some, instead of أحكام, they say أحوال, and أحوال might be better. Through which are recognized the circumstances of the endings, أواخر, of the endings of Arabic words, الكلمات العربية, Arabic words, في حال تركيبها, when they are composed in a sentence. Tarkib means composition, to compose something. So Zayd by itself, what does this mean? Zayd by itself, okay. Do we say Zayd by itself experiences some sort of i'rab or bina? The answer is no. Zayd, when Zayd is put into a sentence, the word Zayd, when it's added into a sentence, now, okay, we're able to give it i'rab and bina. طيب. من الإعراب, i.e., what are the ahkam, what are the ahwal? This is min al-i'rab over here, is to explain what we mean by these circumstances of the endings of the words. I.e., so min over here is in definition of i.e. Yani, what that means is i'rab and bina, mu'rab and bina, and whatever stems or follows that. whatever falls in line with the concept of i'rab and bina. Okay, guys. طيب, I'm going to explain this definition, inshallah, with an example so that we understand exactly what he is saying. We have a statement over here. 3 words. ضرب, Zayd, and Amr. Now, if I were to ask you, okay, how many words do you guys see? 3, correct? Okay, what are the meanings of these 3 words? What does ضرب mean?
The hit.
ضرب means
He
he
hit.
hits.
So ضرب in Arabic
Yeah.
means
ضرب.
ماضي.
he hit. طيب. And Zayd, we said Zayd is symbolic for what?
It's a person. يعني it's a
A
symbolic
person.
for the person
طيب.
itself. Yeah. Specific
And
person.
Amr, what is Amr?
Also
Also-
specific. Yeah.
Okay. I have a question. You take these 3 words, okay, and explain to me what the intent is with these 3 words. And if I were to only look at these 3 words, do you understand anything as a person? What I'm like, the whole point of language is to convey a concept, right? Correct? Okay, if you take
No.
these 3 words, what's the concept you have been conveyed and you understand from these 3 words alone, like this?
We can
Nothing.
understand
Doesn't really make sense.
Doesn't make any sense. What's the concept? You guys understand anything from this?
No.
It's just a list of words. Doesn't mean anything. Okay. Fine. However, when we translated ضرب Zayd Amr in English, we translated as Zayd hit Amr. Over there, you are understanding a concept. And what's that concept you understand? What's the meaning that you've understood? The idea that you've understood?
That Amr was hit by Zayd.
Nah. So over here, in other words, in this sentence, there's 2 things that you're understanding. The hitter, the one being hit, along with the idea that the action of hitting took place. Okay. The idea of the hitter in Arabic, we call this al-fa'iliyah. Something being a fa'il. The idea of the one being hit in Arabic, we call this al-maf'uliyah. طيب. The idea of something being hit, right? Al-fa'iliyah and al-maf'uliyah are, we say, these are the ma'ani that will grant you the fiber of the sentence. So really, this sentence is composed of 3 words, and those 3 words have literal meanings. But there are hidden ma'ani in order for the sentence to make sense. What are those hidden ma'ani? Those hidden ma'ani are the concept of al-fa'iliyah and al-maf'uliyah. If you as an individual don't understand from these 3 words the concept of al-fa'iliyah and al-maf'uliyah, there's no sentence. There is no sentence. In order to understand from a group of words a concept and a sentence, there are hidden meanings that need to be conveyed, that must be conveyed. Al-fa'iliyah, al-maf'uliyah. Okay, we can add more. Okay, for the sake of example, we can add more. For example, if you were to say, Zayd, take these 2 words. Zayd, طويل. What does Zayd mean?
The name.
A person.
The person.
Okay. What does طويل mean?
Oh.
Oh. طيب. Again, same question. Do you understand anything from this? It's a list of words.
No.
You don't. Okay. The moment you say in English though, Zayd is tall. Now, what have you understood? You guys tell me, what's the hidden meaning over here? One is the literal meaning of Zayd, the literal meaning of tall in English. But what's being entailed in the sentence? That's giving you the point of the sentence.
Zayd is the subject.
Yes, Jamil. Okay, so Zayd is the subject, نعم, and tall is the
Predicate.
predicate. طيب. So in Arabic we call this al-ibtida and al-ikhbar. Okay. So the idea of considering a word to be the subject and considering a word to be a khabar. Okay. So the actual purpose of the language in order to convey a meaning, we need two things. Number one, you need to know the meanings of the words. If you don't know what these words mean individually, there's no way that you're creating a sentence. But number two, each language has to do this. Each language needs a mechanism through which it can convey these hidden meanings as well. Okay, so what are we getting out of this? Now, each language must have a mechanism through which it is able to convey the hidden meanings. Okay. And if a language is not able to do this, guys, is that a language? Answer is no. Okay. When you say hidden meanings, what are we referring to?
The roles of the words in the sentence.
The concept of al-ibtida, the concept of al-ikhbar, the concept of al-fa'iliyya, the concept of al-maf'uliyya. Okay. If a language does not have a mechanism through which it's able to convey those meanings of al-fa'iliyya, pinpoint what is the fa'il, what is the maf'ul, pinpoint what is the mubtada, what is the khabar. If there's no mechanism to do that, that language is ish. Okay. So now the question is, the language is worthless. The question is, what are some possible mechanisms that we are able to use to convey these meanings? What do you guys think?
So one is order of the words, such as in English.
MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Sequence. Okay. So one we can say is sequence. So in English, for example, how are we able to determine that Zayd is the one hitting and Amr is the one being hit in the sentence? Zayd hit Amr. Through the sequence. If you flip the sequence, what happens?
Amr becomes the fa'il.
Amr becomes the fa'il, Zayd becomes the maf'ul. Jameel. So if you said Amr hit Zayd, the meaning is flipped. Okay. So sequence in English is used as a mechanism. Okay. طيب. What else can we use?
In Arabic, there's alamat, which indicate a hukum.
We don't want to go to Arabic yet. What else can we use in other languages? What do you guys speak? What you any of you guys speak Urdu?
I speak Urdu.
You guys speak Urdu? So this is like a transliterated translation of Zayd hit Amr in Urdu, right? How do we say this in Urdu? Zayd ne Amr kumara. Okay, over here, where is the idea of fa'iliyya and the maf'uliyya coming from? What do you guys think?
I think sequence, no?
No, because it could also be Zayd ko Amr ne mara, and then it would be the other way around.
Other way around. So it's these words.
Like extra words, yeah.
Jameel, it's the extra words. It's the extra words. Okay, these two words are pinpointing for us who the fa'il is and who the maf'ul is. So we can use extra words as well. We can use extra words as well. Okay. That's why if you were to flip these words, okay, if you kept the same sequence, okay, if I keep the same sequence and I say, for example, Zayd ko Amr ne mara, then what happens? Did the meaning change? The meaning between this and this, is it the same?
No.
No, the meaning flipped. So I kept the same words in the same sequence, but just by flipping the words, I've changed. Over here now, who's the hitter?
Amr.
Amr. And in the first one, who's the hitter?
Zayd.
Zayd. Okay. If I wanted to flip the sequence of the first sentence and keep the meaning, what would I do? Amr, Ko,
Uh,
Zaid, Mar. So this sentence and this sentence, they mean the same thing. Meaning, ne, if it comes after a word, it makes it the fa'il, and ko, when it comes after a word, it makes it the maf'ul. Okay? So you can use extra words, yeah, as is used in English. طيب. What is the mechanism that Arabic uses for, the question is, what is the mechanism that Arabic uses for this purpose? نعم. What do you guys think?
The i'rab.
نعم. جميل. This mechanism in Arabic is called i'rab. And what is i'rab? Okay. What is i'rab? What do you guys think i'rab is?
Grammatical case.
A grammatical case. But what does that grammatical case do? Like, how is, like, so let's look at this, for example, in Arabic. ضرب زيد عمر. Okay. Over here, the mechanism of i'rab uses, okay, this mechanism uses what we call, or uses the change in the last letter of the word in order to grant the meaning. So what's this mechanism basically? Essentially, it's gonna change, it's gonna tweak the last letter of the word. Okay. Or in other words, there will be, like you were saying, Abdullah, there will be a sign, okay, an alama added to the ending of the word, which will, signify, or which will specify its role in the sentence. نعم. طيب. Now, ضرب زيد عمرو. If I wanted to make Zayd over here the fa'il, guys, what would I do? What would I do?
You'd put a dhamma on the dal.
نعم. ضمتين. And if I wanted to make Amr the maf'ul bihi, what would I do?
You'd put a fatha on the last letter.
نعم. فتحتين. طيب. ضرب زيد عمرا. طيب. If I wanted to switch this, if I wanted to now make same sequence, but I want to make Zayd the maf'ul bihi, I want to make Zayd the one being hit, what do I do?
You just make Zayd have a fathatain and Amr have
Amr has ضمتين. طيب. So, and we can actually tweak this. We can bring Zayd in the beginning. Okay. Again, what is it? If I want to make Zayd the doer, what do I put on Zayd?
ضمتين.
Okay. If I brought Amr in the beginning and I still want to make Zayd the doer, what do I do?
You still you keep the same harakat on them.
Keep the same harakat. Jameel. Okay.
Is that a valid way to write a sentence still? Like the last one?
Yeah, it is. Amran ضرب زيد. Absolutely valid. 100%. طيب. We can even make this even more complicated. زيد
عمرا ضرب.
عمرا ضرب. Okay. And عمرا زيد ضرب. طيب. Now, طبعا, from all of these different possibilities, I think if there's 3, you can make 9 possibilities, right? The 3 words, so 3 times 3 equals 9. The possible ways that they could go together are 9. Not all of them are used. Okay. Some of them are used. Some of them are not going to be used, for example. And that's fine. The point is, though, that we are able to, what's it called, switch the sequence around. We're able to keep the sequence. We're able to. So how do you play with the meanings in Arabic? You play with the meanings with these signs that are ended at the ending of the words, okay, which are used, okay, to specify the role of that word in the sentence. These are alamat. علامات of إعراب. There are signs of إعراب that will stipulate for us what role that word is playing in the sentence. So the mechanism that Arabic uses to solve this problem, this issue, which is you need to have a mechanism through which you're able to convey the hidden meanings. And when we say hidden meanings, what are we referring to? Al-fa'iliyya, al-maf'uliyya, al-ibtida, al-ikhbar, the concept of al-fa'iliyya. For a word to be considered the fa'il, for a word to be considered the maf'ul bihi. In Arabic, we're not using sequence and we're not using extra words. What are we using? I'rab. Yes, sequence can play a partial role in Arabic as well. Okay, we're not saying sequence is completely out of the picture. Extra words can play a partial role in Arabic as well, and in English as well. However, Arabic is not dependent on sequence and extra words. And this is what will add in Arabic eloquence, which you're not able to find in English or Urdu or any other language for that matter. The fact that it's compound, you're able to use less words, you don't need to add words, okay? And yet it's flexible. Like you can change the sequence and the meaning remains the same. Because the mechanism that Arabic is using is i'rab, the endings of the words, the changing of the endings of the words. That's the mechanism which Arabic will use in order to convey these meanings. طيب.
So I have a question.
نعم.
So is al-bina essentially like fixed meanings
Endings.
that the i'rab has to go around?
Fixed endings.
No,
Now, okay, base. I'll tell you guys something really interesting. This is gonna come in more detail when we actually study Mu'arab and Mabni. But based on what I just said, guys, if there is a word that cannot play these roles, it can't become a fa'il, it can't become a maf'ul, it can't become mubtada, it can't become khabar, meaning it only has one meaning. And you're not going to confuse it for the mubtada versus the khabar. You're not going to confuse it for the fa'il versus the maf'ul. Does that word need i'rab?
لا محل لها من الإعراب.
No.
No, I'm asking you, does it even need it? Like the whole purpose of introducing that mechanism of i'rab was for the purpose of, okay, Zayd and Amal, Zayd could be the fa'il, Zayd could be the maf'ul bihi. Okay, so to pinpoint which one he is, we need i'rab. But I have a question. The word fi. Fi. This is a harf, right? Fi means in. Okay. Fi, which means in. Can fi become the fa'il?
No.
So there's no. Can fi become a maf'ul bihi? The answer is no. طيب. Does fi experience these meanings that would require i'rab for me to distinguish which one it's playing or which role is playing in the sentence? Does it experience it?
No.
No. So we don't need i'rab. That's why it's called mabni. They didn't give it i'rab.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the wisdom behind bina and i'rab, right? Why are all huruf in Arabic are considered mabni? The reason for that is because they don't even experience the meanings for which you would need i'rab to distinguish what role is playing in the sentence. Okay, and all of this inshallah is going to come in a lot more detail when we talk about mu'arab and mabni, which is, you know, a lesson that we're going to entire lesson, a few lessons probably, just talking about mu'arab and mabni and the wisdom behind i'rab and bina. But why basically the only words that are going to be considered mu'arab in the Arabic language are the words that you need i'rab, you need the mechanism to distinguish what role they're playing in the sentence. As for the words that don't need this mechanism to begin with, like huruf, we call them mabni. Mabni means they don't change. They don't experience i'rab. Why are we calling them mabni? Why are they not experiencing i'rab? Because they don't need i'rab. I'rab is only needed to distinguish these meanings. These words don't even experience these possible hidden meanings, like fa'iliyah and maf'uliyah and ibtida and ikhbar, etc., etc. طيب. نعم, that answer your question, Muhammad?
Yes, it does. Jazakallah khairan.
طيب. Now, the science of Nahu is the science which teaches you, number one, which words are mu'arab and which words are mabni, and number two, how the words will experience i'rab. The entire science of Nahu is to teach you this mechanism of i'rab. Okay, so when we go back to the ta'rif, al-ilmu bil-qawa'id allati, knowledge, it's a discipline pertaining the rules through which you are able to recognize the circumstances of the endings of the Arabic words when they are put in a sentence. What circumstances? I.e. i'rab and bina and whatever follows from that. Ya salam. طيب. What would not be Nahu? I'll give you an example. ضرب, okay, means he hit, correct? ضرب. طيب. ضرب. What does ضرب mean?
He was hit.
He was hit. Okay. Over here, something changed. What changed, Ahmad?
حركة on the first letter. It's from صرف.
Okay. Any change
Like
in the
word.
beginning of the word or in the middle of the word, okay, guys, that even if it influences meaning, even if it changes the meaning, that is not the science of Nahwu. Nahwu doesn't care about how the word, even asma, guys, even isms. Okay, an ism, for example, like Zaydun, why Zay has a fatha and why Ya has a sukun. Nahwu doesn't care. Nahwu has nothing to do with the bunya or the binya of the word. Okay, the structure, the composition of the word. Okay, how it's structured, how are the letters put together, which letter comes first, which letter comes second, what are the harakat on each of these letters. Okay, in the middle of the word, the beginning of the word, the science of Nahwu has nothing to do with it. Anything to do with the binya of the word is the science of ish? Sarf.
صرف.
Sarf will teach us, okay, if I change daraba to duriba, what happens? Okay, so sarf has to do with the on a word level, on a word level, looking at the composition of the word itself, looking at the harakat, looking at how it's composed, X, Y, and Z, all of that is sarf. Nahwu doesn't have to do with these first two letters. The beginning letter, the middle letter. No. The last letter. The last letter. That's it. So in this example, Nahwu is going to tell us that daraba is mabni upon fath. Meaning the last letter of daraba is that it's mabni upon fath. Okay, that's what Nahwu will teach us when it comes to this fi'l. Okay, Nahwu will not teach us, okay, daraba versus duriba. What does duriba mean? Duri, what does that mean? What does dara mean? Will not address that. So Nahwu is only the science which pertains to the endings of the words. طيب, if you study Nahwu properly, Ahbab, what will you be able to do?
Compose the sentence and understand the sentence.
You know how to make sentences after studying Nahwu. If you don't study Nahwu, can you ever make a sentence?
No.
You can maybe rely on like sequence, or like, you can rely on maybe if the guy just through inference he understands what you're trying to intend. Okay, which is how the Amiyah it works. Like people still get their point across, but it's not a real sentence in Arabic. It's not a valid and correct sentence in Arabic. Okay, so this mechanism of i'rab is the most important mechanism. Okay, it is the mechanism through which Arabic is superior, better than other languages. And this mechanism is introduced based on need and necessity. We're not going to say this mechanism is found all the time, everywhere. No, it's only going to be found in the words that are possibly can experience these different roles. And in order to distinguish one role from the other, we're going to use the mechanism of i'rab, and that will result in us distinguishing these different concepts, these words, which word plays what role in the sentence. And the science which teaches us all of this is Nahwu. Okay, why did he say fi hali tarkibiha? Because if Zayd by itself, okay, doesn't experience i'rab. The same way, Ahbab, you remember we said that fi, the word fi, doesn't experience i'rab. Why does it not experience i'rab?
Like it doesn't need to.
It doesn't need to. It doesn't experience these multiple meanings. Okay, Zayd by itself, do you think it's experiencing these multiple possibilities?
No.
If Zayd is not in a sentence by itself, the word Zayd.
No, because
No.
نحو goes to kalam.
No. So likewise, if you just say Zayd by itself, it cannot. There's no possibility of it being a fa'il or a maf'ul. So these roles are not being. We don't need to specify the role that Zayd is playing, right? So therefore, we don't need Zayd by itself will not experience i'rab either. So that's why he added this clause, fi hali tarkibiha. Yani these endings are important when these words are put into a sentence. Okay, at that point you will study. So what are the rules and guidelines regarding the endings? How do they change? All of that is Nahwu. Nahwu, the entire science of Nahwu, Abhab, is only pertaining to this. Everything we study in Nahwu, inshallah, from now till the end of this book, all of it will be pertaining to this concept and this understanding. طيب. we'll stop over here, inshallah. And then in the next lesson, we'll continue with the mawdu', which is subject matter, thamara, the goal, what to attain, the fadl, the virtue of Nahwu as well. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Any questions, guys?